Luc Robitaille, hockey legend, now president of the LA Kings. Thank you for sitting down with us and talking about America turning 250 years old. I wanted to ask you, just simple question. When you think of America turning 250 years old, what comes to mind?
For me, America turning 250, it's more, the meaning of it was when I was a kid, I lived in Canada. For us, the United States was our big brother. They were protecting us. There was a respect, what the flag meant to us. That's what I think about. That's my memory. Seeing Ronald Reagan, and Jimmy Carter was my era, and then George Bush. Those were my president growing up. That there was just so much respect of the United States and what it meant. But that was our dream. As a Canadian kid, that was our dream to go. I remember we were in Montreal, we went to a place called Plattsburgh, New York. So it was just over the border, and it just felt like we were such an adventure to be over the border.
Describe the process of becoming a citizen. You're a dual citizen.
Yeah.
Describe that.
The first thing I did once I came to the U.S. is I applied for my green card. And then not too long after, I started thinking about getting my passport. Because I knew, by the time I got married, my kids were here, I'm like, I'd like to become a citizen. I ended up playing in different cities, so you lose track. And the minute I retired, that was the first thing I focused on. And I do remember the day was 2006. I remember when it happened. I think at the time, I probably thought it was more of a formality.
Okay.
Until I went there and realized how big it is. And I was very fortunate because I'm in sport. They sat me to all these people that have done military service. So we sat in the front, and I saw the emotion, and then it brought me back to being a kid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wow, this is very special today. And I think of myself as an American now. Like the way I live, the way there's no thought about going back because there's such a meaning to it.
Well, from the beginning of when America was formed, America was an underdog story. You were also an underdog story. You were not a first-round pick or second or third. You had to wait a long time, 9th round, I believe.
Yeah.
So it was a long wait on that draft day. Talk about overcoming obstacles and people underestimating you.
I'm not going to say I'm a history buff, but I like history and I always go back. And the underdog thing, if you think of the way the United States was founded, it's belief. To come all the way over here and then building something is hard. The people that went west and the journey they had to go through to get their land, it's fascinating. My journey was totally different, but if I didn't believe in myself, I wouldn't be here speaking English to you.
Right.
In 2026, I'd probably be 75, 80 pounds overweight in Canada speaking French, complaining about their hockey team, that would be it. But eating a donut every morning too, by the way. But it's a belief. It's there's a lot of people, it's easy for them to tell you that can't happen, that can't happen. But if you have to analyze the fact that it might not happen, but at the same time, if you don't push yourself to get to the next level, nothing will ever happen.
Luc Robitaille was drafted 171st overall in the 9th round by the Los Angeles Kings. During that same draft, the Kings selected future Baseball Hall of Famer Tom Glavine over 100 spots ahead of Robitaille. Lucky, as Luc became to be known.
He scores! A lot of people, whether they're drafted late or it's disappointing they didn't go in the first round in whatever sport, they use it as a motivational thing where they're like, okay, I'm going to prove people wrong. But you saw it as an opportunity, and of course America is the land of opportunity. Talk about your mindset when you waited for your name to be mentioned and it was late, but you did get your chance.
When you have an opportunity, what do you do with it? Like some people have tremendous success, and everybody's got, at some point, luck has happened their way. Mm-hmm. Like coming over from Europe, there had to be storms, and the next thing you know, you pick the right way. So it was the same thing for me. So the door was open. There was a very small crack. My name was on the list. I'm like, now they got to look at me. It's up to me. Mm-hmm. So it was up to me to make the most of my opportunity. My opportunity was very slim.
What were the keys to success? Obviously hard work, but when people say, how did you get to be the legend Hall of Famer you are now with a statue. You've been in Hollywood movies and shows, but that wasn't always the case. It was a long road.
The old cliche, it's always hard work.
Yeah.
Everybody's had successes, willing to work harder. In sport, if I go in sports, I tell kids that come in today is, what are you willing to do when no one's looking? It's easy to work hard in a practice when everybody's looking, but are you doing more when no one is looking? Are you willing to practice your shot? Whenever all your friends are going to a movie, are you going to go outside and take 500 more shots? If you do that every night, it's the old 10,000 hours theory, you're going to become not good, you're going to become great.
What about the mental game? You talked a lot about the physical game, but you said thought. Because your career, while amazing and you're regarded as one of the best of all time, you had ups and downs.
Yep.
You had seasons that didn't go so great, and I'm sure that was mentally difficult. How did you overcome that?
If you care about something, it's never easy. Was it hard mentally when I was on a slump, or things weren't going, the team is losing and things are... Yeah, but it's then that you see character. How much more are you willing to push yourself to get out of it? Because it's a lot easier sometimes to get on the wave. It's hard. It's now you gotta start swimming against the wave when you're struggling. That was the one thing I was willing to do. People say, did you have good luck charm? Are you super? Yeah, whatever work I did, but if it didn't work, I'd change. You know?
Right.
And I had to push all the time. And mentally, it can be hard. I was really hard on myself, questioning myself. I think today's world is better. People understand more mental awareness, mental fatigue, or how even we didn't even know about concussion. This is a whole different animal. And I think today, players are a little smarter and understanding that. But it still goes on all the time. We have therapists now working with our players, and we see that there's a demand for it all the time. Because you're constantly in your head. And in sports, if you're in your head, you're going to be a second behind. Always.
Now, you always need a support network. Can you describe yours?
My parents were always there, where we didn't really understand at the time. I didn't know that we had no money, because it felt like whatever I wanted to do on hockey, but it was towards sports, not just hockey. They just made everything available to me when I asked for it, but I had a passion. My parents attended most of my games, never really talked about it, never said, oh, you got to work hard. They never, ever, until I turned pro, then my dad thought he could become my coach. That's a whole other story. Later, when I turned pro, it was difficult early on because I was alone in LA in a new city. And when I met my wife, that became my support system. She was a great support because she made sure everything was done right for my game. Like, I was kind of difficult.
Well, what about giving back? You mentioned you do charity work with your wife, and you had help. Everyone gets help to where, and recognizes that how important it is to pay it forward, to pass it on, basically, for the younger generation.
Well, the first thing I learned is when I was a kid, I waited in line in Canada, the Montreal Canadiens were bigger than big. I waited for 2 hours, and we didn't have hockey cards then. I had a matchbook turn, and the guy wasn't even a star. And he signed, I'll never forget, he signed PB, and I went to my room, and it was a Montreal guy. I'd never seen them live, or we didn't have enough money to go see. So I put on my wall, but I never forgot that he was nice. When I turned pro, the best I could, I tried to never turn down an autograph from kids.
2 parades in Los Angeles following the 2014 Stanley Cup Championship. The Kings would celebrate with a parade downtown featuring an estimated 300,000 fans.
I tried to never forget where I came from, that feeling, that getting that autograph from fans. Before you turn pro, if I would have gone to you, you could turn pro, you're playing well, but you're gonna need to sign 1 million hockey cards. Would you do it? It's gonna be your salary, whatever, 3 million a year, 5 million a year, but you gotta sign me 1 million cards, like in the next summer. Would you do it? They would all say yes. We're fortunate, we're living our dream. Yes. You're playing a game and you're an adult and this is what you wanna do in the kids, so when you have a chance to make a difference, whether you go to Children's Hospital or you go somewhere to give back and bring one smile, if you have a chance to do it and it doesn't change your game, or a Make-A-Wish kid comes and he wants to meet you, take the time to make that difference. I do believe that giving back is part of our life. We're lucky to do what we do.
This country was founded on leadership, and strong leadership, starting with George Washington and the founding fathers, Abraham Lincoln. And leadership, of course, is essential for any business, any sports organization. Can you talk about, that didn't happen overnight, right? I'm sure there were things, you probably made some mistakes along the way, but you learned from them.
Well, you still make mistakes all this time. I think great leadership, it's about helping building a team. But you never really know what it takes to be a great team or championship team until you win the championship. And then when I won the championship, I realized that everyone around the organization is part of it. It's not just one. If you're gonna have a great country, it's because of everyone in the country that makes it great.
And you realized that after you won.
Yeah. Because what I realized then is, in our game there's 4 lines, you know. The 4th line plays 7-8 minutes a game, but those 7-8 minutes, if they do everything right, they help you win. And then you do it over and over for 2 months. It's 2 months. It's a 2-month war, the NHL playoff. That's how you win. And then you realize along the way you had 3 injuries. One guy played 1 game and made, we call it a key block. He threw his body to block a 100 miles an hour shot. Right. And we won 2-1 that game. When you win, we all go to that guy. Remember, that's why you deserve a ring. Well, you only played 1 game, but that's the game we needed to win, and you saved it.
You said earlier, even though you're a dual citizen, you consider yourself an American.
Yeah.
Number one, why, and what are you most proud of about this country?
What I'm most proud about this country is the freedom it brings. Someone will say, oh, I'm not sure I could do it, or they don't know about making this decision. I say, I wasn't here, but your ancestor and different people went to war to give you that freedom to say whatever you want, which is, it's incredible. It's the opportunities that everyone has. Anybody can have success here. It's up to the person. It doesn't mean everybody will, but the freedom of having this country to be able to, you have a dream, you could go for your dream, and that's doesn't happen everywhere.
Luc Robitaille's assist of Josef Stumpel's goal in the 3rd period gave him career point 1,370.
And for Luc, another milestone. He passes Johnny Busick.
Social media is, I call it in sports, the kitchen. So in 1990, families had season seats. They would go see a Kings game, and myself, Luc Robitaille, had a bad game. And they would go back at home in the car, and a little bit of traffic. They get home, and the dad, with his son, and, his wife would come out and say, how did they play? They were terrible. Robitaille had a bad game. He had 2 giveaways. He missed an empty net. He goes, I can't believe it. It's too bad. They just lost a big game. They could have won this to get in the playoff, but it's his fault. But then that's Tuesday, and Wednesday, he's at work. And Thursday, I have a game, I get a hat trick, we win, and now he's happy about me again. Right. The kid's in the car, and he's writing, under another name. Robitaille sucks. He's an idiot. This. And then what happens, though, unfortunately, every once in a while, you could write 1,000 and no one cares. You write one, it gets picked up, and then 1,000, 2,000 people see it. Most players on our team, our young guys are all on phone, but it's more their mom, their dad, their cousin, their best friend, their sister, their brothers. They see that because they all follow it. And that's when I think it makes it really hard mentally, because they'll call the kid, are you okay? Yeah, why? Right. I had a bad game. So I've seen some mistake made where our guys really struggle the next day. And I don't think people mean it in a mean way. It's like you're in the kitchen. You're upset that you lost, but you write it down. You think you're an expert. To some other people think they're expert and they can just make do. I just think the best advice to do is stay away from it if you're a player. If you're management, you should be aware of it. But if you let an influencer or a blogger or whatever manage your team, you're never going to win.
Well, speaking of winning, championship teams, no one ever says, yeah, they won the championship, but they were really divided. Unity is important. Setting a culture is important. And that is in regard to the country. When the country's united, I think that's when it's strongest. Yeah. Same thing with team sports or businesses. Both as a player and as an executive, how do you foster unity? Because that's not fake. You have to have the unity in order to win.
It's not easy to do when some people think they could do differently. Like, everybody is looking to grow in their career and do more, but you gotta get everybody to buy in. First of all, you gotta have your team to buy in on each of their position. You need to communicate with them what their role is, but it's the same for the company as a whole. So for us, I tell our staff, we're all here to help our players, help us win a Stanley Cup. I don't know when we're going to win the Stanley Cup, but I do know that if we all do this one thing to help our players, help us win a Stanley Cup, we're upping our odds. If I tell them, let's try to be good, let's try to make the playoffs, you might make the playoff, but if you try to win the cup, you got to make the playoffs. Right. And then, but if everybody has the same language and the same speech, so you can have some kids that need something from our players, and they suddenly say to them, the players say, hey, thank you for helping me. I said, no problem, I'm just here to help you, help us win. So suddenly it snowballs, Then there's a belief that this organization is doing whatever it takes to try to be the best it could be.
This country's gone through some difficult times, some wars, and speaking of haters, there's always haters where they're not really proud of America, but I think 250 is a real opportunity for this country to unite. What are you optimistic about going forward the next 250 years?
The United States, as I know, is the land of opportunity. So it will always be the land of opportunity. Everybody looks at us. Mm-hmm. Everyone. I go around the world and that everybody looks at us. What are we doing? How are we treating each other? How are we treating people? What are we doing? And our history is we've helped a lot of people. I mean, World War II, at some point, U.S. said, you know what, we're going over, we're gonna, and it stopped. Mm-hmm. Everybody else was trying, but the U.S. suddenly said, hey, and everybody started building all the tanks and jeeps, and next thing you know, we won. Most people, that have come in here, we come from other countries, way back, and we've all come into the land of opportunity, and that's what this country is about.
Mm-hmm. What about sports in communities? That's a way, especially when the team is winning, whatever team it is, it really has such a positive effect on community.
Yes.
And talk a little bit about that.
Well, I think a sports team, what it does for a city or a community is it brings people together. You watch the players play and you get behind them because they're all doing something that we all wish we could do, but we can't. Right. So when they win, though, it brings something to the city. And even sometimes when they don't win, that's your team. And you stick with that team no matter through thick and thin. It's fascinating, the passion. I do remember our first Stanley Cup. We had fans that had started coming to Kings game in 1967. It was fascinating. And then they were there and crying, and it meant so much to them. And that was the biggest eye-opener for me as a non-player. Because when I was a player, when you win, it's your family and the group. You get the big parade with thousands of people, but you don't really understand it until when I got to management. I'm like, oh my goodness, so many people, that changed their lives. They'd been Kings fan for 40 years. That was, from that standpoint, that was fascinating for me. But what the team does, even when I was playing junior hockey, when I was a kid, it was a small community of about 40,000 people. When we won, the whole city was behind us, you know. And so then you come in LA, it's the same thing. When you have success, it's amazing how people jump behind and enjoy that. It's a proud moment for the city, for the citizen of that community.
And do you relay that advice to players now? What you went through, like, hey, don't focus on this, don't be too negative, don't listen to the critics. You know, do they, because you had such a storied career, I would imagine they listen to you, but do you bring that advice to them?
Yeah, when I talk to them, or when we talk to them, for sure, we try to educate them about social media.
Right.
You know, like being really aware of it. And at the same time, be careful about what you post. Because when you're a celebrity or an athlete, you could post 1,000 times and no one cares. One day you're gonna post one thing that's a weird opinion or something you don't even think. That becomes news.
Oh, big news sometimes.
So I tell them, I'm not sure I'm right, but I tell them, when after the game, sometimes hockey players are boring, you know, it's like they answer, I'm gonna play one period at a time, one game at a time. They always nervous because it's a team game, so everybody kind of, so I tell them, if I put a camera in front of you post-game, what will you say? Well, I'm gonna be careful because I don't want my teammate to think I'm selfish. I go, well, it's the same thing when you post. Because if you post the wrong thing, it becomes news, it will separate you, and it could ruin your career, some of them. You gotta be really aware because it feels like it's nothing until it's something. So from that standpoint, that's the one thing we tell them to be careful and be aware. And awareness and communication over the treatment of everything they do is really important today.
You've worked very hard for what you've accomplished in life, but when did you realize you step back and say, speaking of awareness, wow, I've led the American dream. I've led a very charmed life. Had to earn it, but you have.
One time.
Okay.
The greatest moment, I got a call to be on the selection committee for the Hall of Fame. So you got to be a Hall of Famer, and that one I called my dad. I go, Dad, do you remember? I just wanted to play in the NHL. I actually didn't want to play in the NHL. Actually, I wanted to go college Division I. No one called me, so I had to play junior hockey in Canada. And then I made it pro, and that was a big deal. And I got in the Hall of Fame. I go, they just called me. They want me to be on that selection committee in hockey. It's 18 people, and that's it. We close the door. We select every year. To me, that was the greatest moment. I get to select who comes in for some reason.
You got the biggest kick out of that.
That was my moment. I'm like, that's.
Last question. Anything else that I didn't ask that you would want to say about your career, about America turning 250? Anything you want to add?
I love this country. I was so proud to be able to come in and live here. And I remember looking how far Los Angeles was from Montreal and seeing the ocean for the first time, and going to Disneyland. You know, it's all part of America. I don't think when you live in the U.S., you might not think as much as when you grew up somewhere else. All this is magical. We've all seen America on all movies, TV shows. Then when you come here, so I take a lot of pride on living here and taking care of the people that are coming after me.
It's a special place, without a doubt. Luke, thank you so much.
Thank you.